I'm Ryanne Burges. I'm currently the Head of Offshore Development for EDF Renewables in the UK. I've got around 10 years of experience in offshore wind and maybe 10 to 15 years in renewables generally. I actually started life as a lawyer working in private practice, kind of cutting my teeth on large infrastructure projects and learning the ropes that way. And then moved into renewables, some smaller scale onshore wind, hydro, a little bit of solar, some carbon capture and storage when that was trying to find a place in the world. And then moved into offshore wind and really found a passion with that. It's, kind of exciting to be part of something at that time that was quite nascent. So involved in some of the early projects, the original Blythe and then also Thanet. And then moved into being involved in the Beatrice project, and I moved from private practice into in-house and became part of the developer team at Repsol when they had assets in Scotland, so across Inchcape, Moray and Beatrice, and was involved in the Beatrice financial close process and then the sell down of Repsol's interests to SAIC, the Chinese investor. And I left Repsol and moved into a commercial role with Northland Power, who were at that time looking to expand their interests in Europe for offshore wind. So at that point they had Gemini that was under construction and Nordsee 1 and 2, and Nordsee 1 was under construction, but they were looking for the next big opportunity and trying to launch a development team in London. So I was employee number 1 for that, acting on commercial capacity, and it was a great role. They were kind of really agile and looking at every opportunity all around Europe. So I was involved in bidding processes in the Netherlands, in Germany, and then dragged into some work they were doing in the US and also in Taiwan, so very broad. But family requirements brought me back home to the UK, and now with EDF it's great to be part of a company who are hugely committed to offshore and to renewables generally. They've got a CAP 2030 programme where they're looking to double their installed capacity to 50 gigawatts globally by 2030, and they're looking to, big ambitions in onshore, offshore and solar in the UK. So yeah, they keep me very busy. Everyone sees the challenge ahead for offshore in particular, and in the UK. You're looking at just around 10 gigawatts operational right now, and that's taken us more than 10 years to get to that point. And you would expect that with a technology that was kind of learning and finding its feet. The challenges that it faced historically, I think, are now mostly gone. So there was a nervousness around providing financing for large-scale development and capital expenditure for an unknown technology. That question mark is now no longer there for fixed bottom foundations. And then there was the question around route to market. And of course the CFD really has unlocked a lot of that for people and also helped on the financing side. And technology pathways, the developments that have been made in recent years, I think have really brought those costs down, and you're seeing kind of cost parity a lot of the time now for large scale projects. So it's new challenges that we're facing to try and deploy at this level in the next 10 years. We're really seeing now an issue with consenting and environmental headroom in the UK. What's the right transmission regime? So the OFTO design, there's a question on whether or not that point-to-point can continue, and what's the answer and how quickly can that be implemented. And then there's the uncertainty over whether the CFD design is the right thing through the 2020s and beyond, in terms of ensuring that right balance between consumer cost effectiveness and allowing technology to deploy. And obviously offshore is now much more mature. Is it still the right thing? So there's a bit of uncertainty on some of those elements. There's a question over what is it that's disadvantaging those Scottish projects, and of course there's some obvious answers around the TNUoS charging regime and the higher costs that applies to Scottish projects, and then the sort of deeper water, further from shore elements that they're dealing with, and different ground conditions that make it more challenging to build out there. So Scottish projects are facing some particular issues of their own, particularly when you look at the route to market being a UK-wide CFD. So there is a Scottish Offshore Wind Energy Council that's been formed by a partnership between government and industry. They're looking at some of those particular barriers and how they can reshape some of the policy or thinking or direction for development in order to make it happen. Well, so we are involved in some of the sector deal working groups, and we recognise obviously there's a push for further female representation and broader diversity generally, and I think that we as EDF definitely want to see that happen. Me personally, very passionate about seeing diversity, whether that's female, young, old, race, however it may be, on the basis that I've worked in a number of companies now in my career, and me personally, I'm one of very few, if any, women round a table in a lot of circumstances, and I don't see that as a blocker for me, but it is an interesting dynamic. It's a question mark over what are the reasons behind that. Is it a cultural thing? Is it a societal thing? And how do you resolve that?